Once upon a time, in the bustling heart of Lekki Phase 1, there lived a man named Chukudi Aneze. He was the kind of man people whispered about when he walked past, not because he was loud or flashy, but because he carried himself like someone who had seen too much and survived it all. Tall, dark-skinned, with a beard that was always perfectly trimmed, and eyes that seemed to look through you rather than at you. Chukudi wore simple clothes, mostly blacks and grays, and drove a modest Toyota Camry that had seen better days. He lived in a three-bedroom flat on the third floor of an aging apartment building, surrounded by books, silence, and memories he tried hard to forget. People said he was broken. They said his wife had destroyed him. They said he had no future, no hope, no reason to smile anymore. And for the most part, they were right. Chukudi was alone. His wife had left him 2 years ago, taking their only daughter with her. Since then, he worked as a freelance graphic designer, ate whatever was in the fridge, and came home to emptiness. That was his life. But that life was about to change, all because of one humid afternoon. The sun was blazing that Tuesday, the kind of heat that made your shirt stick to your back and turned Lagos traffic into a slow roasting oven. The sky was cloudless, bright and unforgiving. Chukudi sat in his car, stuck in the usual gridlock on Admiralty Way. His AC was broken, so all four windows were down. Sweat dripped down his temple. He glanced at his phone. A message from a client. "Can you send the final design by 4 p.m.? He sighed and typed back, "Yes." Outside, hawkers moved between cars selling water, sunglasses, phone chargers. A woman with a baby on her back was frying plantain on a small stove by the roadside. The smell filled the air. People honked. Okada riders squeezed between vehicles. Everyone looked tired. Then his car jolted slightly. He looked up, confused. What was that? In his side mirror, he saw a small girl, maybe 6 years old, barefoot and dusty, pushing against his car door like she was trying to wake it up. He rolled his eyes. Another beggar. But when she knocked on his window, he looked again. She wasn't alone. Behind her stood a boy, around 9 or 10, holding the hand of an even smaller child, a boy who looked no older than 4. All three of them were filthy. Their clothes were torn and faded. Their hair was matted, but it was their eyes that stopped him. Big, brown, hollow. The girl knocked again, harder this time. "Uncle, please, we are hungry." Chukudi shook his head and looked forward. He didn't have cash, he didn't have time, he didn't have space in his heart for anyone else's problems. But she didn't move. "Uncle, please." He turned to her, annoyed. "I don't have money." She stared at him. "We haven't eaten since yesterday." He clenched his jaw. "Go and meet someone else." The older boy stepped forward. His voice was quiet but firm. "We've been asking all day. Nobody stops." Chukudi looked at him properly now. His face was serious, almost adult-like. There was no pleading in his expression, just fact. "Where are your parents?" Chukudi asked. The boy looked down. "We don't have any." "Guardians, family?" "No." Chukudi frowned. "So where do you live?" The boy pointed vaguely toward the bridge ahead. "Under there, near the gutter." Chukudi felt something twist in his chest. He shook his head slowly. "That's not my problem." The girl's lips trembled. The smallest boy started to cry softly. The older boy picked him up and whispered something in his ear. The crying stopped. Chukudi watched them. He saw the way the boy held the younger one, the way the girl stood close to him like he was all she had. He cursed under his breath. "Wait here." He reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a crumpled 500 naira note. He handed it through the window. The girl took it with both hands. "Thank you, sir." But as she turned to leave,
The smallest boy looked back at him. His eyes locked onto Chukudi, and for a split second, he saw someone else. His daughter. Not in the face, not in the features, but in the look. That same pleading, wordless stare that said, "Don't leave me." He blinked. The moment passed. Traffic started moving. He drove slowly, eyes on the road. But his mind stayed behind.
That night, Chukudi couldn't sleep. He lay on his bed staring at the ceiling fan going round and round. The image of those 3 children kept flashing in his mind. Where do you live? Under the bridge, near the gutter. He turned on his side and closed his eyes, but sleep didn't come. By 2 a.m., he got up, made himself tea, and sat by the window. The city lights blinked in the distance. Somewhere out there, those children were sleeping on concrete, or maybe they weren't sleeping at all. He told himself it wasn't his business, but the thought wouldn't leave. The next morning, he drove the same route. He told himself he was just going to check, just to see if they were still there. And they were. Same spot, same torn clothes. The older boy was sitting on the curb with the little one in his lap. The girl was braiding her own hair with her fingers. Chukudi parked on the side of the road and stepped out. The boy saw him first. His face didn't change. "You came back," the boy said simply. Chukudi walked closer. "What are your names?" The boy stood up. "I'm Ebuka. This is my brother, Somto, and that's my sister, Adana." Chukudi nodded slowly. "How old are you?" 10. "And them?" "Adana is 6. Somto is 3. Chukudi crouched down to their level. "Where are your parents?" Ibuka's jaw tightened. "Our mother died when Somto was born. Our father, he left before that." "And you've been on the streets since then?" "Yes." Chukudi felt his throat tighten. "Who takes care of you?" Ibuka looked him dead in the eye. "I do." The weight of those words hit Chukudi like a stone. A 10-year-old boy, raising 2 children, alone. "Have you eaten today?" Chukudi asked. Ibuka shook his head. Chukudi stood. "Come with me." Ibuka didn't move. "Where?" "To get food. We don't follow strangers." Chukudi almost smiled. "Smart, but I'm not trying to hurt you. I just want to help." Ebuka stared at him for a long moment. Then he looked at Adana and Somto. "Okay," he said quietly. They followed him to a nearby buka. Chukudi ordered rice, beans, plantain, chicken, and 3 bottles of water. The children ate like they hadn't seen food in weeks. Somto ate with both hands. Adana chewed slowly, savoring every bite. Ibuka ate quietly, eyes always watching. When they finished, Chukudi asked, "What do you do all day?" Ibuka wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "We beg. Sometimes we find empty bottles and sell them. Sometimes people give us food. And at night, we sleep under the bridge or in front of a closed shop if the owner lets us." Chukudi's chest tightened again. "Do you go to school?" Ibuka shook his head. "We used to, but after our mother died, we stopped." "Do you want to go back?" Ibuka looked at him carefully. "Why are you asking?" "Because I'm trying to understand." "What?" "Why you're still standing." Ibuka's face softened slightly. "Because they need me." Chukudi nodded slowly. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know why he cared, but something inside him refused to walk away. "Come with me," he said again. "Where?" "To my house." Ibuka stood up quickly. "No, we can't." "Why not?" "Because people lie. They say they want to help, then they do bad things." Chukudi's heart broke a little. "I'm not lying." "How do I know?" "You don't," Chukudi said honestly. "But you can choose to trust me, or you can go back to the street." Ibuka looked at Adana and Somto, then back at Chukudi. "If you hurt them," Ibuka said quietly, "I will fight you." Chukudi nodded. "Fair enough."
Inside Chukudi's flat, the children stood frozen by the door. They looked around slowly, eyes wide. The furniture, the TV, the clean floors. Adana whispered, "Is this your house?" Chukudi nodded. "Yes." "You live here alone?" "Yes." She looked at Ibuka. "It's so big."
Chukwudi almost laughed. The flat wasn't big, it was average, but to them it must have looked like a palace. "Sit," he said, pointing to the couch. They sat carefully, like they were afraid to break something. Chukwudi brought them water. Then he brought towels. "You can take a bath," he said. "I'll find you something clean to wear." Ebuka hesitated. "We don't have other clothes." "I know, I'll figure it out." After they bathed, Chukwudi gave them old t-shirts he no longer wore. They were too big, but clean. The children sat on the couch again, fresh and quiet. Samto fell asleep almost immediately. Adana leaned against Ebuka's shoulder. Ebuka stayed awake, watching Chukwudi. "Why are you helping us?" he asked. Chukwudi sat across from them. "I don't know." "You don't know?" "No." Ebuka frowned. "That doesn't make sense." Chukwudi smiled a little. "I know." They sat in silence for a while. Then Ebuka asked, "Do you have children?" Chukwudi's smile faded. "I have a daughter." "Where is she?" "With her mother." "Why?" Chukwudi looked away. "Because her mother and we're not together anymore." Ebuka nodded slowly. "Do you miss her?" "Every day." "Then why don't you go and see her?" Chukwudi's throat tightened. "It's complicated." Ebuka didn't push. He just nodded again. That night, Chukwudi gave him his bed. He slept on the couch. He didn't sleep much. His mind was racing. What am I doing? What happens tomorrow? What happens after that? But when he heard Samto laugh softly in his sleep, something in him relaxed. Maybe he didn't need all the answers right now. The next morning, Chukwudi woke up to the smell of something burning. He jumped up and ran to the kitchen. Ebuka was standing in front of the stove, holding a spatula, trying to flip an egg. The pan was smoking. "What are you doing?" Chukwudi asked. Ebuka turned quickly. "I was trying to make breakfast. You almost burned the house down." "I'm sorry. I just wanted to help." Chukwudi sighed and took the spatula. "Step back." He turned off the stove and opened the windows. Then he started again, properly this time. Ebuka watched quietly. "You don't have to do this," Chukwudi said. "Do what?" "Try to pay me back." "But you helped us." "That doesn't mean you owe me." Ebuka looked confused. "Then why did you help?" Chukwudi cracked another egg into the pan. "Because you needed it." After breakfast, Chukwudi made a decision. He called his younger sister, Ngozi. She picked up on the third ring. "Chidi, what's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." "You never call unless something's wrong." He smiled a little. "I need your help." "With what?" "I have 3 children here." There was a long pause. "You have what?" "3 children. I found them on the street yesterday." "Chidi, what are you talking about?" He explained everything: the traffic, the begging, the bridge, the decision to bring them home. When he finished, Ngozi was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Are you insane?" "Maybe." "You can't just bring random children into your house." "They're not random. They have names, they have stories." "Chidi, you don't even know them." "I'm getting to know them." "And then what? You keep them?" He didn't answer. She sighed. "Chidi, you're still healing. You're still dealing with the divorce, with losing Zainab. You can't save everyone." "I'm not trying to save everyone, just them." "Why?" He looked at Ebuka, who was teaching Samto how to stack blocks. "Because no one else will." Ngozi was silent again. Then she said, "I'm coming over." She arrived 2 hours later. She walked in, saw the children, and stopped. Adana waved shyly. "Good afternoon, Ma." Ngozi's face softened immediately. She walked over slowly and knelt in front of them. "Hi," she said gently. "Hi," Adana replied. Ngozi looked at Chukwudi. "They're beautiful." "I know." She stood and pulled him aside. "Chidi, this is serious. You can't just keep them here without a plan." "I know. So what's the plan?" "I don't have one yet." She shook her head. "You need to report this. Take them to social services and let the system handle it. The system will put them in an orphanage or separate them." "And what will you do?"
Adopt all three? He didn't answer. She stared at him. Chidi, I'm not letting them go back to the street. Then what are you doing? He looked at her. I'm giving them a chance. Over the next few days, Chukwudi's life changed completely. He bought the children new clothes, shoes, toothbrushes. He enrolled Ibuka and Adana in a nearby school. He hired a neighbor to help watch Somto during the day. It wasn't easy. Ibuka struggled in class because he had missed so much. Adana had nightmares. Somto cried whenever Chukwudi left the house. But slowly, things got better. Ibuka started bringing home good grades. Adana smiled more. Somto started calling Chukwudi Daddy Chidi. And Chukwudi, the man who thought he had nothing left to give, found himself living again. One evening, he sat with Ibuka on the balcony. The city was loud below them. The sky was turning orange. Can I ask you something? Ibuka said. Always. Why did your wife leave? Chukwudi took a deep breath. She said I wasn't there, that I worked too much, that I forgot how to be a husband. Did you? Maybe. Ibuka nodded. Do you still love her? I don't know anymore. Do you still love your daughter? With everything I have. Ibuka was quiet for a moment. Then he said, She's lucky. Why? Because even though she's not here, you still fight for her. Chukwudi's eyes burned. He looked away quickly. You're wrong, he said softly. About what? You are mine. 2 months later, Chukwudi received a letter. It was from his ex-wife's lawyer. She wanted to meet. She wanted to talk about Zainab. He agreed. They met at a quiet cafe in Victoria Island. She looked the same, beautiful, put together, distant. Chidi, she said when he sat down. Foleke. There was a long silence. Then she said, I heard you're taking care of children now. He nodded. Yes. Street children. Yes. She shook her head. You couldn't take care of your own family, but you can take care of strangers? They're not strangers anymore. Chidi, this is ridiculous. You're trying to replace Zainab. No, he said firmly. I'm trying to help children who need me. And what about your daughter? She needs you too. I know, and I want to see her. Foleke leaned back. I'm not stopping you. You moved to Abuja. For work. Without telling me. She looked away. I needed space. From me or from us? She didn't answer. Chukwudi leaned forward. I made mistakes, I know that, but I'm not the same man anymore. Because of them? Because of everything. She looked at him carefully. You really care about them? Yes. Why? Because they remind me what matters. Foleke's eyes softened slightly. I'll let you see Zainab. On weekends, if you want. I do. She nodded. Okay. Before she left, she turned back. Chidi, are you happy? He thought about it. Ibuka's laugh, Adana's hugs, Somto's tiny hand in his. Yes, he said. I think I am.
6 months later, Chukwudi stood in a courtroom. He wore a black suit. Beside him sat Ibuka, Adana, and Somto, all dressed neatly. Ngozi sat behind them. So did a few friends, and in the back, quietly, sat Folake. The judge looked at the papers in front of her. Then she looked at Chukwudi. Mr. Aneze, do you understand the responsibility you are taking on? Yes, Your Honor. You are willing to be the legal guardian of 3 children? Yes. And you understand this is permanent? Yes. She looked at the children. And do you 3 want to stay with Mr. Aneze? They all nodded. She smiled. Then I see no reason to deny this petition. Guardianship is granted. The courtroom clapped. Ebuka stood and hugged Chukwudi tightly. Adana cried. Somto climbed into his lap and said, We're staying forever? Chukwudi kissed his forehead. Forever. Outside the courthouse, Folake approached him. You did a good thing, she said. Thank you. She looked at the children. Zainab will love them. He smiled. I hope so. She reached out and touched his arm. You're a good man, Chidi. I forgot that for a while. He didn't know what to say. She smiled sadly and walked away. That night, back at home, the children ran around the living room. Ngozi had brought cake. They sang, they danced, they laughed. Later, when the house was quiet, Chukwudi sat on the balcony again. Ebuka joined him. Thank you, Ebuka said. For what? For stopping that day. Chukwudi looked at him. Thank you for trusting me. Ebuka smiled. I want to be like you when I grow up. Like me? Yes, someone who helps people. Chukwudi's chest swelled. You already are. They sat in silence, watching the city breathe below them. And for the first time in years, Chukwudi felt whole. Not because he had everything, but because he had enough.